second. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay, great. So I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And Sam, you want to go through the, oh, there she is.
Sorry.
So call the meeting to order. And Sam, go ahead with the roll call. So where'd you go, Sam? Right. Do you guys see Sam anymore?
She dropped out.
I'm glad to know it's not just me with the technical difficulties.
There she is.
Sam's coming back.
That looks like a glamour shot. Looks great.
That was weird. Now we can't hear you.
Sam, you're on mute.
Yep, got it. There are two buttons you can push, and I pushed the wrong one, but we're good. All right, so I'll go ahead and take roll call. Thank you. Let's see. Commissioner Meredith,
Here.
Commissioner Cant. Oh, we gotta hear you. Sorry.
I'm working on it, Jim. I'm just not as quick as you. I'm here.
Vice Chair McDonald.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot. Commissioner Resnick. Yes. And
Yes.
Chair Caption.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's go ahead with the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. So I pledge allegiance to
Allegiance
the
to the
flag
flag
of the
of the
United
States of America,
and to the
to the republic
for which it
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all.
No.
Okay, now, adoption of the agenda. Anybody want to move that we adopt the agenda for today?
So moved.
Thank you, Noel. Second?
So moved, Judy.
Thank you, Judy. And let's vote on that one too.
Okay, Commissioner Meredith,
Yes.
Commissioner Cant,
Yes.
Commissioner Resnick,
Yes.
Vice Chair McDonald,
Yes.
and Chair Caption.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. That person, there's somebody waiting to get in the meeting. Hold on just a sec.
There's no one waiting to get in. So they may have the wrong link.
Well, this person was on YouTube and watching on YouTube, which is fine, but anyhow, I just texted her, so we should be good. But that's not the same person that said that they wanted to get in that I sent that link to. So, which by process of exclusion is has to be Jeff with a different phone number. So we'll hopefully he makes it. Anyhow, so can I have our next item is approval of the minutes from February 7th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Oh, can I move it? Oh, Robin, you beat me to it. Okay, I'll second Robin's motion.
Okay. Commissioner Resnick, sorry. Go out of order.
Yes.
Commissioner Meredith.
Yes, but I wasn't here last time. Is that okay?
Oh, so we'll abstain for that one. Commissioner Cant,
Yes.
Vice Chair McDonald,
Yes.
and Chair Caption.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and Rhonda is excused and hopefully Jeff will be joining us at some point soon. So public, is there any public comment on matters that are not listed on the agenda? Sam, did you get anything?
I did. I received an email at about 4 o'clock today, so I haven't forwarded that to you because it was after the cutoff time. So I'll go ahead and read that into the record, if that's okay.
Yep.
So this was an email received today at 3:56 p.m. Good evening, Cynthia Caption, commissioners, and town staff. Thank you for your continued work to promote the arts in Yountville. Thank you to Chair Caption for her presentation to the town council last week. As someone who watches the town meetings, it was refreshing to see a concise and entertaining presentation. It is essential to show your work. Chair Caption did a great job showing all the hard work that has happened with the arts in 2021. With the Commission's continued hard work and the development of the Performing Arts Subcommittee, it is evident that there is a lot of work ahead for this Commission and town staff. At the previous meeting, the commissioners discussed that the town would probably need an additional staff member. At the same time, there was significant discussion concerning the diminishing account of revenue from the business licenses. I think they may mean the business building permits. As one looks at your current agenda, it is necessary to discuss the revenue side of the equation. I support the town supporting the arts. I also support the Arts Commission looking at more partnerships and sponsorship opportunities for the new fiscal year. You have worked hard to establish Yountville as an arts destination. The next steps could be to get the local businesses and significant partners involved to contribute to the arts revenue. Art Sip and Stroll is the perfect opportunity for these possibilities. The funding will help to ensure the future success of Yountville Arts. Thank you for all of your continued work. I always smile when I walk past Polly and Raven. And this is from Jeff Durham.
Oh, great.
And we have another Jeff.
Yay. Hi, Jeff.
So we'll let the record reflect that Commissioner Lay has joined us.
Sorry to be late.
No worries. So do we do anything with that sound? This is, I think, our first. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice
Well,
letter.
you just receive it. If there's an action item that wants to come out of that for discussion, we can add it to a future agenda.
Gotcha. Okay. Right. Okay. And then, so Sam, you'll discuss the return to in-person. And next is administrative and regular items.
Yes.
So you're on deck here.
I'm on deck. So I put it in the staff report, but I'll just verbally explain. So, prior to the pandemic, the Arts Commission met more informally. So we would meet at the community center around the table. We occasionally had the public come. Generally, it was people that were directly connected through the arts, whether it was from the museum or the Lincoln Theater, and occasionally just a general public member. When we did start having virtual meetings because of COVID-19, we started to stream our meetings live on YouTube because we can, because we're all virtual and on a screen. And so what's coming to light at this point when we're returning, hopefully in the next month or so, to in-person meetings, is that if we continue the Arts Commission meetings in that informal manner at the community center, we're no longer able to engage the public through YouTube watching live, which I've been tracking it. And we do get anywhere between 2 to 4 live viewers of our meetings. So those are people who are watching as we're meeting right now. And then we also have anywhere between 8 and 15 views of our meetings after the fact. So those are people going onto YouTube to watch the meetings after they've happened. And so if we go back to those informal meetings at the community center, we really don't have a way of continuing this, because just setting a laptop in the corner to try to capture the meeting is really not effective. It's hard to hear people, and we don't have a camera set up there. So really what we're moving towards is changing the way we meet and making it, unfortunately, but fortunately, more formal. We do, as you know, have that full camera and microphones set up in the town council chambers where all the other commissions meet, as well as the town council. And it's really only as formal as we want to make it. It feels formal because of the space, but it shouldn't change the dynamic of your work and how you discuss things, because you're doing all of that now with the public watching. And that it'll be the same scenario, just in that building. And it's really the only way that we can continue having that integration and really a living history of the meetings as well, recorded for the future. So the Yountville Arts Commission is the last commission or board that the town has that hasn't transitioned to that yet. And I really think now is the time. I've been working with Steve and the town clerk because that means, we would have channel 28 as well. And so there's a little bit of a budget adjustment for that, but Steve really supports, and I feel strongly that it's time for us to move in that direction for the future. I know you do, and we want the public to be engaging with us and the transparency that can bring as well. So I wanted to just make sure to be, get any discussion that you might have, answer questions. Obviously, there'll be a little bit of training involved, but really just make sure that everyone feels supported moving towards that. So I'm happy to answer any questions or obviously get any feedback that you might have.
So I have a couple of questions. I think I'm the one that brought this up. So at this point, or during the month of March, are the other commissions, and I consider ZDRB a commission, at least if not a name, are the other commissions as well as the town council, are they all moving live during the coming month or not? And Steve?
Yeah, so they will be, the first live council meeting will be April 15th, right, Steve?
April 4th.
April 4th.
No, April 5th and the 19th. Sorry, I'm getting
the 19th. So April 5th, they will start in person. So if we do move forward, we could technically be the first on April 3rd,
Okay.
4th, or we can wait until May if we can do one more virtual meeting, but by May we need to be in person.
And I'm just going to make one more point, which is probably very small. When we used to meet in first the founders room and then the art room, we were sitting around a table so you could kind of react to people's, their faces and their intentions and whatever. When you're on the dais of the town hall, you're really not facing directly your other commission members, which would be true with the town council members as well. So you lose a little bit of, nonverbal communication. Am I wrong on that? And Steve probably has a good opinion.
I don't know. What I would say, Jim, in that sense is the dais has a rounded shape so that the participants, you're a little bit larger than the council, so we will slide. You do have different audio visual support capacities. We can put things up on the monitors and do some things differently. I think what Sam and I are really sharing with you here is, one, it is the maturization, and I'm going to say the continued maturization and growth of the Arts Commission in that role, and also the success that you've had through COVID with the unintended consequence of the Zooming of the meetings and the participation. And this is just the natural evolution, if you will, of the meetings and the formats. And I also agree with Sam's comments that the personality and vibe of the meeting can still be informal, but there's a structure, just like there's a formal agenda structure and a process. And we're just changing the venue, and it's set up to facilitate the meeting and the interplay and exchange. But it will be different, and there's no doubt around that. If you're all been sitting around a card table playing cards and then you spread out differently, it's going to take a little bit of time and adjustment. But all of our other boards and commissions, including zoning, design, review board, park and recreation, and even some of our one-time ones that aren't necessarily filmed also meet generally in the council chambers.
So now, is there a dress code? Just teasing.
That's up to you, really. But also Jim and I had discussed this, well, why, can we meet around a table in the council chambers? And unfortunately, to achieve what we want to, the answer is no, because of the way the camera and the microphone setup is in there. It's not possible to capture everything that way. So.
And
Oh, I guess we can't bring our beers or wine glasses to the.
No.
that's what a coffee cup is for. But then, Sam, if somebody is like unable to attend a meeting, say they're traveling or something, could they still do it virtually?
I don't believe so. Not at this point. We don't have the capability of doing that.
So it's all or nothing. It's either all Zoom or all live.
Well, let me,
We
there
have
is-
to go live.
the other thing I would say right now, there is the potential for a calling component, not necessarily a Zoom participant. So that would be, and that's something that exists under state law and the town's bylaws. Part of what we all need to remember is we're meeting under Zoom due to executive order related to the COVID pandemic. So some of these things will be moving away. So we need to be prepared for that. And basically now that the mask mandate is off, the mask mandate was really the town's last element for not having in-person meetings. But since we've opened the community center, we've opened town hall, we really don't have a rational or good reason to tell the public that their meetings are not open to them in person.
So Steve, let me ask you one final question. So pre-COVID, say, town council meeting, a town council member was out of town but wanted to weigh in on something. Was that possible as a call-in?
They had to call in and there were special notification requirements and they had to post the agenda where they were at. So it didn't
Do
happen.
we have the technology for that, Steve? I don't recall that.
It's yes, but it's
Okay.
funky. I would
Okay.
just say it's not our preferred. Basically, when I say
No.
call in, you're calling in and we put, remember that little triangular phone thing, Sam, that we would plug in?
Oh yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we have. Literally a phone call in. So, I mean, we may need to update and look at that, but yeah, there's some pros and cons to our remote teleconferencing, that, but that's going to be changing and we really, based on state law, so we don't have a whole lot of choice that way.
Okay, thank you.
Cindy.
What would public comment look like? I mean, I know what
So people would, we would still maintain the public comment at yville.com email address. So people are able to interact that way. They could give public comment still through the bubble on the town's agenda website. And then they'll be able to join us in person and approach the dais when you ask for public comment. So they'll have those different ways of doing it, just like, they do now, with the exception of raising your electronic hand and whatnot. So, and the nice thing is although the comment bubble on the agenda closes at a certain time, they can email in live during the meeting and we bounce back and forth. And just like I just did now, I checked it, as you asked. So it's something I have readily available to me.
Okay.
If it's possible at all to check into calling in a way that makes sense, I know it would be something that I would enjoy. I really try to schedule all my work around the art commission meetings, but sometimes it's very difficult. And sometimes I am able to participate, just not to physically be there wherever I am in the state or the country, or just fairly recently, we were working in the evening in town and I was able to step away from the job that we were filming and sit in the car, but I was able to phone in and I was able to participate in the entire meeting, which was very meaningful to me. So if there's any way to just possibly look into that, I know I would greatly appreciate it. And I'm sure there's others who also at times cannot be here physically, but could participate during that time frame. So just my thoughts on that.
Yeah,
Just a
Jason.
reminder, we can take a look, but there are some formal requirements such as posting your location and being accessible and taking public comment. So there's some downsides to that people need to be aware of, but Sam and I will take we'll take another look at the current structures as they exist.
I'm just curious, how is that any different, being accessible to public comment here on Zoom or in another location?
The best answer I'm going to tell you, Noel and commissioners, is it's the way the state law is written. And right now, Zoom meetings are only allowed by virtue of an exception. So when the policy goes away, all of the old school about the agenda posting and everything, unless the state modifies its rules, fall back into place. So that's why I'm sharing with you the telephone, and I'm using the word telephone call in, but it used to be that a person would call in from, like, if they were traveling. So it's meant not to encourage, but could allow. And we may see some modifications in the next 6 months in state law that provide a little more flexibility and hopefully a little more guidance. But that's why I'm saying, really, as we move, we need to get back into the mindset of the, in-person meetings are the norm, and then the support structure will follow.
Absolutely. And just to clarify, I totally support that. It's just sometimes, we make plans and life gets in the way and we still want to participate. It's not for lack of interest or not wanting to be there.
Absolutely understand.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I have one other question. So when we get back in person, having never been to one of the meetings, is there like a safety protocol thing that we're supposed to do, or,
For health or what?
No, for just, I know it's a government, so like, do we have to have our guns checked, that kind of thing?
So we are a weapon-free.
Someday you're gonna get my humor.
That's a good one. Yeah, I like the answering that question.
We are a weapon-free workplace, so you can't bring your gun in. But
we're a nuke-free zone, probably.
No, like, do we have to do
I
it?
haven't noticed metal detectors outside the town hall.
There
in all
are.
seriousness, I'm trying to get to the root of
There
what
are?
you're asking, Judy.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it that you're asking?
So no, I mean, like, if people are going to be coming in, I'm sure there's some sort of safety protocol. That's what I'm interested in is,
So we are open to the public. If there seems to be some sort of issue, staff, has emergency training and plans, but we don't, people don't have to check in ahead of time. We don't screen them. It is truly open to the public.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what we will do, and it's not really a protocol, but Sam and I will sit down and mark out the chambers. So each of you will have your seat. You'll know where to go. And we typically do provide water. And if you do want to bring a soda or something that's allowed, we don't prohibit that or anything. I wouldn't necessarily bring a Bud.
No brown paper bag.
No brown paper bags, but they're, we're certainly happy to. We'll also, Sam, have to get name tags ordered, so you'll go one step.
Yeah, we've already done
that. So there are some formalities, if you will, when you get put into the meeting. But currently, there are no COVID protocol limitations, no distance, and no requirements. Masks are optional for either the public or a commissioner. And we encourage people to do what they feel is appropriate for them with regards to a mask.
Okay.
Are we ready to vote? Do we vote on this, right?
Oh, there's no vote. It was more just for feedback. I do have one more question, which is we've been meeting at 5 o'clock. And I just want to make sure that once we return to in-person, 5 o'clock still works for everyone, or if we want to stick with 5:30, because I know some of you are working and you will need to be in the chambers, in your seat, ready to go live at 5. Is that a problem for anybody? No? Okay.
Judy, you're good too?
I'm good.
Okay.
I don't know that I'm good, but I can do it. Yeah.
You're probably nodding. I
Yeah.
sensed you were nodding your head.
Cynthia gets my humor.
Okay, so great. Well, that's exciting. We'll get to sit in the big fluffy chairs.
Are they
Yeah, they're fluffy.
Oh,
Okay, Sam. So, and there's no vote. So next, Sam, you're up on this one too, the art fund report and the budget discussion. You can go ahead and lead that.
Second question about our last item, I'm sorry. Is everyone comfortable moving forward at the April meeting in person? Or
Yes.
do we want to wait for May? Okay, we'll shoot for April. Perfect. We'll be the first ones.
Okay, good.
All right. So the next item is continuing your discussion on the budget. Cindy called me earlier and pointed out that I left off part of one of the sheets in your packet, so the numbers did not add up correctly. So I'm going to share my screen just so that you have the most accurate information, and that then I tried to double check the numbers. So can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So based on the feedback that you gave at the last meeting, and as well as some discussions that's happened between then and now, this is the most updated version of the budget. And so what you're looking at here is the general fund budget. This is the largest one with the most activity. And we presented this in detail at your last meeting, but I'm gonna just hop through some of the changes and additions so that you'll be able to take a look at it and hopefully approve it to move forward for the town manager and then the town council's review as well. So the changes to this front sheet, I did go ahead and increase the revenue from the proposed for the art sip and stroll booth fees, as well as the tasting packages. I did increase from the estimated, so bumped up the revenue just a little bit there. So expenses, as you recall, this is kind of like where everything is compiled. And then we'll go through the breakdown in the next sheets. And that's where we have a couple new programs for you to take a look at. So based on your feedback, we did bump up the advertising budget here for gallery, but still looking at 3 to 4 exhibits a year. Or it says 3 to 4, but it's actually 4 to 5. But based those numbers on that, art sip and stroll, we didn't have any major changes to that from what we discussed at the last meeting. Literary programs, again, no real change from what we discussed at the last meeting. So here you'll find in yellow are the 2 new programs that were brought forward between the last meeting and now. And we'll go into those, those were detailed in your staff reports. But the first one was a new program called Find Your Heart. That came through from Rhonda, a program where it reminds me of our, snowman hunt and our turkey hunt that we've been doing in town, but it'll be more art focused. So local artists will create small glass hearts that'll be hidden in town and collected and brought into the community center. And then they get to keep it as a little token of arts. So we, the local artists, I think they were like, what did she say? 50 cents a piece to make the glass hearts.
Originally 25.
Oh, 25, I'm sorry.
25 cents.
Yeah, so starting out, fairly minimal budget. I did add some advertising and marketing behind it because we'll obviously want to tell people that we're doing this. So if we wanted to do a print ad or whatever. So $450. I'm not sure if we outlined the timing on that one, when we thought that might come forward. Sorry, I'm just looking at my staff report really quick because you can see what I'm doing.
Sam?
Yes.
If I can just interrupt for a second, when Rhonda and I were coming up with this concept and creating it, we had discussed the possibility of doing it during mustard season. to be our contribution of one of the events possibly in Yountville to support this. And it was based on another program that we had seen that was very, very successful, where people started going year after year to search for these artists' little baubles. And yes, it's very much like we do at Christmas time. And these were going to be possibly signed and numbered. So they're even a little bit more meaningful in terms of a little piece of art from Yountville. So we're really excited about moving forward on it. And mustard season is what we were, sometime in that time frame is what we were talking about, if that helps clarify a little bit.
Yeah, so I think we're talking about the months of February and March of 2023. And that example, that happens to be something that Rhonda had. The hearts that are going to be part of this will not have that clasp at the top that you could put in a chain. That's, that gets into a lot more expense. So it's basically going to be a glass heart.
Great. Nice.
Also, you scrolled through it, Sam, but the number, it's 25%, 25 cents for the first 100, and then it jumps to 50 cents for the next 100, which is usually things work the other way around.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Let's see, 100 would go up to 50 each.
Yeah. Great. So that's
one new program.
Yeah.
The next one, oh, go ahead.
I'm just going to say, and so that's the art walk portion. There's also a gallery portion with a reach out to artists with art involving hearts. So it's going to be kind of a two-pronged promotional effort.
Okay.
Great.
So that would be a
Good.
normal gallery show. How
Right.
it fit into the calendar as a normal gallery exhibit. So there's no extra budget there. Perfect.
No, and what we had talked about was also, in addition to some of our town artists and other artists, possibly some of our members of our town, whether it be art commissioners, town council, residents, just people who might like to contribute. Obviously, we have only so much space in the gallery, but we really wanted to turn it into a community project with hearts.
Great. Sorry, showing you my email.
Really nice.
All right. So the next up is performing arts. So we know we reinstated that subcommittee and discussions. I'll turn it over to Robin. That's more, thank you for piping in, Jim and Noel, to talk about plans for performing arts in the next year. Robin and Jeff.
Thank you. So thanks to the town of Yountville for issuing a small budget, or for considering a small budget for performing arts. We went ahead and asked for a nominal amount for musicians to play art openings, and those may not come to fruition if the artist decides that they don't want any music, but then the funds would remain in the budget. We're looking at doing some additional events, or hiring perhaps some street performers surrounding art sip and stroll, whether that be strolling violinists or mimes or ballerinas. It was just to be able to have some money to pay a stipend if it's a group from the college. It was just a little cushion room to enhance the events that we've got going on. And if we had money for a standalone event towards the end of the year, then it was to be able to support that. We were able to have theater or music at the community center.
So that budget that was proposed, I did add some, again, marketing money in there because it's important to market these things. But this doesn't include the music in the park budget. So that would stay under Parks and Recreation. So this would be truly the new funding there. So with those two new additions, it does, I believe the math all adds up correctly, that we are our total expense budget for the year, and that's increased. So the staffing increase that we would be proposing would be part-time. It's not a new full-time position. I just want to make that clear. That would be additional part-time support for the Arts Commission. And then the supplies and materials for the rest of the items. So that was the main change there with the budget for.
So Sam, the biggest change from the pages that we have is that contract services, which on ours reads 12,500, is now 7,500. Just the commissioners have in front of us.
I think it's the other. It is 12,000. I believe 12,500 is the correct amount for artist stipends with the.
I just saw 7,500.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Hold on. I was on the wrong page. Yes, contract services 7,500.
Okay.
And then you did, so there would be an increase there. There's a small increase from what you had, I believe, for other supplies and materials, and then also for advertising.
Right. Okay.
From the additions here. And then I also corrected some of the math from the last meeting as well.
Okay.
All right. So any other thoughts on?
So are these both items that need to be voted on tonight or at another time?
So yeah, we'll vote. Did you want me, there weren't changes, but we can just quickly take a look at the art fee fund. So there were no changes suggested from that, but I know in discussions there is concern about drawing down below the $40,000. So I don't know if we want to have a discussion on that. There were no suggested changes to the numbers, but
yeah, I would like to have a discussion with the other commissioners about this, because our sort of promise to ourselves was that this bottom line would not go less than $40,000. And when I was looking at this, the biggest expenditure is the artist stipends. So I would like you all to be kind of thinking about, like, we've increased the stipend over years. Now I'm wondering if we should cut back a little bit, recognize, so I'd like to have maybe a little bit of discussion here to see how you guys feel about that. If you want a number, we also are missing Rhonda today at this meeting, and she is vital to the art walk. So we'll probably bring it back at our next meeting to see if, we want to be fiscally responsible and we want to turn in the budget, but we also want to involve Rhonda because she's, just vital to the art walk, and she knows, and just kind of in doing the math, like, if a sculpture, most of our sculptures are say like around $20,000. That means that if that sculpture sold, we would get $4,000. If we give $2,500 of our $4,000 to the artist, we're only making $1,500. So it's sort of, again, like a math thing, like, well, would we ever have a sculpture, if you have a sculpture that's like the Dancing Butterflies was just installed, that's $14,000. If Dancing Butterflies sells off the street, we would get, what did I say, 14,000. So that's 1,040, we get $2,800, and we paid $2,500. So then we're like $300, so it's sort of like just, numbers wise.
And I think if I could, I'd like to give you all, this is where being old has its disadvantages. I'm going to give you a little historical perspective so that, one, I appreciate, Cynthia, your budget concern and your numbers. The manager in me is really appreciative of that. But I also don't want you to lose sight of the fact that the core to the art walk was to bring art to the community. So we're okay with giving the stipend and not making money. So that's the first thing I want you to realize, is that we didn't put the program together. So I want you to give yourself permission to not, you may have some things that just don't engender sales, but are really purposeful for the art walk and the spirit. So I just offer that from a historical perspective. But I think what you all need to be looking at and mindful is where the stipend's at, how many you have, and what is the revenue stream coming in. Because the building permit fee revenue will go up and down. And I think part of the premise was to give yourself a little bit of a nest egg, so to speak, so that you could maintain. So I do think there's a level of discipline, and maybe to your point, Chair Caption, it might not be the time to increase the stipend further, and we might need to manage that. But I do want you to realize, making money, you're not being charged with making money off the art walk. So I just want to make sure that that's a really clear, and also we don't necessarily require that you make money on your other events. So I want to make sure that you're aware of that and not feeling any pressure to generate the return or on stuff like that. But that's where we need to look at, I think, part of your purpose of having a little bit of the reserve, and then looking at what other avenues might, for example, Art Sip and Stroll, we've always, our goal has been to make a little bit more than it cost us to produce the event, but not clearly make it a moneyed fundraiser. But those are some different options. And I will say, at past times, we've looked at, are there some other things that we might do that generate money? So really, I think, Sam, and I do appreciate the fact that you're concerned about that. But it also, like I say, managing your expenditures can be part of that budget discussion as well.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to point out, it is a balancing act between continuing to fund the art walk at the level that we have been, and in maintaining the fund balance in there. So there are other options for doing that, such as where we sell art and we do make money. The years that we've had revenue, that revenue that's in excess of our expenses from the general fund goes into the Town of Yountville Community Foundation, your savings area. But maybe the discussion in the future needs to happen as to how that money comes back designated for the art walk, if it was made off of the art walk. So that's something that, policy wise, I can work with Steve and our finance director to figure out the best way of that, as another funding source for maintaining the fund balance in the art fee fund. Because part of the reason I want to bring us back to that the fund has come down is because of all the art that we sold between 2019 and current. Because when we replaced that art, we paid more stipends than we have really in most years put together. And so it quickly, brought the fund balance to where it is today without a lot of commercial building going on. So I just want to point out there are other things we can be looking at.
And I do think, Sam's comment about us having a policy about the commissions staying in a art fund, art walk use is probably a pretty simple place to start. And then also or it could be an internal policy of how to draw down from your fund balance and when you might, from what's housed in the community foundation. So there are a few different options for us. You're certainly at a very different situation than some of your predecessor commissioners were when it comes to funding.
I appreciate what both Cindy is saying and what you're saying, Steve. It's wonderful not to be under pressure to generate revenue, and Cindy, certainly appreciate the concern for the budget, but also I think we need to be thinking of the long-term game as we bring in strong and recognizable artists. in addition to other artists. But as we are able to build the awareness of the art walk, we can bring in art that maybe will generate more revenue and commissions. I think it's important to perpetuate the quality of the art walk, just in terms of what we're trying to do and building awareness. And once again, that also helps with Art Sip and Stroll. That's why we generated the poster program, where every year we have a new poster, because that brings in additional revenue. And certainly people come to see the art walk in addition to participate in Art Sip and Stroll. And I think it was very obvious during COVID how much people loved to come to town to stroll around and be a part of the art, because there was nothing else to do here. As a matter of fact, it was getting a little alarming how many people were coming here because it was so beautiful to walk and be outside. But once again, it's what we're trying to create and what we're trying to build. And I think if we look at the long-term game rather than the short term, I think that's something we're moving to that could turn out to be a win-win on all fronts.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a quick comment. I feel like the art walk generally, with some exceptions of what we have been donated or what we have purchased, is a rotating, group of sculptures. And, whether they sell or not, that's another issue. But I think that the $2,500 stipend is at a level and there to attract high level quality pieces for the art walk. So I don't think that trying to cut that back is a good idea. Now, Rhonda, who's not here, maybe has her own point of view on that, but I think that as the stature of the artist has increased over the years in terms of what's been on the art walk, I think that's the current stipend level is commensurate with what that quality of art is all about. So that's what I'll say.
Okay. So maybe we should just, if anybody has any other comments, also, I think we should maybe agendize it for the next meeting to just talk to Rhonda about it. So just kind of think about it. The other way to perhaps save a little bit would be to lengthen the time that the sculptures are here, because when they're here for 2 years, and then, and there are 30 sculptures every two, that are changing out every 2 years, it ends up being a lot of money with $2,500 per sculpture. So,
So maybe what we could do, because I don't think, Cindy, your intent was to change the proposed budget tonight. It's more just to open up the policy discussion. So
right.
I may not be able to have it by the April meeting, but for sure by May, I would be happy to do some further analysis on a couple areas, one of which is, looking out maybe 5 years or 10 years even, to see how the rotation of the sculptures, if they rotate on time, is going to look, based on also, just do some analysis financially too.
Right.
The 1% valuation on building permits is a crapshoot, right? We're really never going to know what that's going to look like. But, we now have, a good 5 years of, and I can go back even farther, building permit data. And I know when Priya was here, she did, I think 10 or 15 years of building permit data to run those numbers. So I can utilize some of that to kind of forecast what we may be looking at. So I think just some further analysis, and then it might lead to the policy discussions of, we want all of the revenue from the art walk sculpture sales to go back into the art walk, or we want a percentage of it, or, how do we look at things maybe a little differently, just because I think all of our intentions are the same, which is long term, we want to make sure that this program, which is so visible and so viable in our community, is sustained through when there are lows like we have seen in the last 2 years with building permits, which is going to be the cycle. So how do we prepare better for that and for future commissions to be able to sustain that? So it's a really busy month of March for me, but I can promise by May, we can have maybe a policy analysis discussion on that, if that seems reasonable.
I think that's great.
And I would also just echo what Sam is also saying. You're seeing one of the two dynamics. You're seeing a very low level of commercial business activity and a high expenditure and turnover. And I'm also just going to pleasantly remind you, it doesn't take a super big project or two to build that fund balance up. So if you think about what's out there on the horizon, one or two projects could significantly, in a positive way, change that whole equation. So that's why I'm also trying to tell you not to, I appreciate the concern, but I think if we take that longer look, it may cause us to go into our reserve, if you will, a little bit one year, knowing that the activity level is going to generate a return that brings you out, if that makes any sense. So I think, but I do think, there's a few simple things that we could do to stay focused on revenue generated from and through the art walk. May be prudent that it stays to support the art walk.
I have one other question. Maybe it's for the Art Walk Subcommittee. I'd be curious, over the last couple or 5 years, what the average length of time that some of these sculptures were up, because I think in a lot of cases, it's kind of a hassle for the sculptor or artist to come and pick them up. So I think in many cases, we're keeping those pieces longer than 2 years.
Jim, on average, 2 years is our current guideline, but many of them stretch to close to, 30 months, somewhere between two and 2.5 years. And then every once in a while, we've had one sell fairly quickly, and then that churns. So, that's the flip side of that. But I would also say, again, it really was the intention behind this is a rotational, a fresh ongoing perspective. And also we've had some, way back in the day, we discussed, did we program all of them at the same time? And we chose a different route. We chose the incremental ongoing route rather than when some cities, for example, City of Napa, when they launched, they put all 10 or 15 of their new program out at the same time, and then they all generally come off. So, ours has more opportunity for storytelling because we may bring 3 or 4 on, or we do something different. Neither is right or wrong. It's just different approaches to how it's evolved and the structure.
I think Jeff had something to say. Yeah.
I'm just wondering if there's any rush around making this decision. It seems to me that taking the time until May to do this research, I'd like a little more time to do my own research in terms of understanding some of the budget issues and history. And so I would like the idea of maybe even some ongoing discussion with April and May, but focusing more on May as a possible date for any decisions around this.
Jeff,
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, sorry, Sam. Jeff, I was just going to say, I see 2 issues. One, you will see the budget that we're talking about go forward because the town council will approve its budget in June. But I think what Sam was trying to say, you're really talking about a longer term policy, and that part we can certainly continue work through May, and even it may be May as a broader discussion, and then even that takes a couple of meetings, June, July. To kind of do some of that analysis and look at where you're wanting to go. And I would also say to that earlier public comment letter, we really haven't done a whole lot on sponsorship or some other things with regards to the art walk or some other stuff. And I'm just gonna, I'm just saying we have really brought this in and pretty much have done it without a lot of outside external funding support or partnership. So I think there's some different ways if we wanted to go about doing something that we could do. But I'm also loath to put more on Sam's plate right now. But I do think there's some opportunities there for us to look at where do we want to go and how do we do some things.
Yeah, and just to your point, Jeff, I'm not proposing, and I don't think Cindy is, to make immediate changes to that budget that's moving forward for next fiscal year, because timing wise, we don't. But we can always make changes if it warrants mid-year, but it's more of a long-term discussion because I don't see it necessarily changing the immediate budget. It's just how do we move forward in the future. Rhonda did do some analysis and she said, we have 5 sculptures in the next year rotating. They should be rotating out. So hopefully we'll be replacing those 5 sculptures. So that's what we base the proposed budget on. But that's always kind of a moving target as well. But I just think in my mind, I just keep replaying, from 2019 to now, all the sculptures that quickly rotated through, DeJean jaw runners, the rabbits, like there's so many things that just were a blip on our art walk because they sold. So, it's kind of an anomaly, but it's also a good time to sit down and really analyze that. So I will start working on that.
Yeah. I appreciate, I understand the budget itself is going forward. I was thinking of that $30,000 hold, or the 30,000 that Cynthia was discussing, and the decision around that. But thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so shall we move forward with a vote to accept this budget for proposal?
And the third piece that I didn't show on the screen because there was no change was this Town Yountville Community Foundation, which is not part of the town's budget process, but it's just included for you as yours, but we made no change from the last meeting, so.
Right.
Can I ask a question for clarification? So the Hearts program or event that Rhonda set up, since that's a specific program, in addition to being in a small way in the budget, should that program be approved tonight?
I would look at it as if you're approving it in the budget, that would be the budget for performing arts and for that new program that you would be approving the program.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so does anybody want to make a motion to accept the budget for 2022-23?
I make a motion to approve the budget for 2022-2023.
I second it.
Right, thank you. Do your thing,
Right.
Sid.
Commissioner Lay,
Approve.
Commissioner Resnick,
Approve.
Commissioner Meredith,
Approve.
Vice Chair McDonald.
Approved.
Who did I miss? Commissioner
Robin.
Cant. Sorry, Robin, right in the middle of my screen. And Chair McDonald, Chair Caption.
I approve it too. It's because we look alike, Jim.
Okay, so just so you know what happens from
Wait.
here, I know I put it in the.
You don't
staff
have any
report.
gray though.
Oh,
I then move this forward with the finance department. I have a meeting with Steve to go over it and approve everything that has been put in, and then it goes forward to the town council for review and approval. So still a few more steps, but it's great that we're all on the same page moving forward. So,
great.
and then this was a fiscal year budget. Will, if approved, will start July 1st.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to move. Rhonda, the next thing on the agenda is the Art Walk Subcommittee. I'm going to report on that for Rhonda. Marin Full were installed at Hopper Creek Park. Dancing butterflies at Yountville, Washington. Sculptures were moved so that Treble Clef is by Petit Logis and it will have lighting. Or does it have lighting now, Sam?
Yeah, so Treble Clef moved to Hopper Creek Park, and now the one piece, what is it called? Building up is at Petit Logis. It does have the light in there. The glass is very thick and dark though, so the light doesn't provide a whole lot of light, but we did get it installed.
Okay, great. And then the cleaning of the sculptures, as she wrote on here, the sculptures, they're really dirty. And I'll just read her comment. Our sculptures are filthy, some of them, not all of them. They are really in dire need of regular cleaning. Road and atmospheric dust and dirt weather affect them, and though we think the rain washes them, the rain only creates residue that dulls the sculptures. The Art Walk is being continually promoted and it garners much attention. period. Okay. Our Art Walk committee would like to establish regular cleaning and or power washing of all the sculptures on the Art Walk. A quarterly cleaning calendar is reasonable. In our fiscal year 2021-22 budget, we have $1,100 that's left over. So we recommend using the funds currently in the budget to begin the cleaning program as soon as possible, to be explored further with Sam.
So I did follow up with Rhonda. After that, I have a request out to a contractor that is already on a contract with the town for similar services, that already has insurance and all of that, to see if we can get an estimate on cleaning quarterly. And then I'll try to get two other competitive estimates on that to see. We were background on that. We were doing it in-house with part-time staff. I have, just like everybody else, a part-time staffing shortage. And it does take a special person with interest, because it's not really in any of our job descriptions to want to go out and do that. So trying to find a more sustainable way of approaching it. And so the current contractor already cleans Chaos Pamplona once a year and power washes the mural, and is fully, contracted already with the town with insurance on file. So hopefully that will work out, but I'll look forward to updating you on that.
Thank
My
you.
only thought, Sam, is that rather than getting right into every 3 months, it might be more like every 4 months, just to give us a little bit of ramp up and a little cost savings from going from kind of a ground zero to all of that. As we look at that, that might be a more prudent way to start that.
Yeah, and I think financially we may say, okay, we can afford twice a year right now, which is better than what we're getting now, which is nothing really. So we'll just see where we're at and come up with a good plan for that, because, I agree totally.
You
that-
better be careful. Rhonda and Michael will get out there with hoses. I'm just warning you.
I know. He's already warned me.
Yeah. Well,
I don't
and
know where she will hook up said hose, but
and some need it more than others,
Yeah.
So. Okay, also, the plan is to activate electricity at the Yellow Sphere location at Mulberry and Washington. Boy, that is a popular sculpture.
yeah. So
Um,
on that note, we have reached out to the estate Yountville's team to try to get that resolved, but I don't believe we've heard back yet.
okay, so we'll carry
A
that
comment
on.
about
Robin?
that piece, the base, the boards around the bottom are looking just like they're just not on par with the rest of the art. So I don't know if that is something that we
You're talking
do,
about-
or
Yellow Spear, is that what you're talking about?
yeah, because I was looking at that site for maybe the violinist to play, and from the side I was like, those boards they just don't look on par with the rest of the art. So is that something?
Well, they're not art, and they do get hit by they're watering all the time. But
Okay.
are they broken? I can go take a look at them.
They look weathered, right?
They're weathered. Yeah.
And rustic, yeah.
Okay.
Again, we'll share that's private property, and that pad is provided by the Villaggio. So, I mean, I can add that to the discussion with the new ownership to see about their maintenance of that pad, if you will.
Yeah, perhaps they would appreciate we would appreciate a commercial building permit from the new owner. So that would be great. Also, the last bullet point for Rhonda is we need art calls for Art Walk sculpture applications. And I sent over a few. So is there any update on that?
I think I posted to 2 of them so far, so I'm working through that. It is current on artcall.org. So it's just pointing back to that. But we can, I believe all 4 of the ones you sent me are free postings as well. So I also posted on art, I don't know if that was included on your list or not, but art jobs.
Yeah.
So I think we can, maybe that's something the Art Walk Subcommittee can discuss too, is if maybe we want to point a little bit of marketing money towards like an ad placement in some prominent art magazine, or, where should we, I don't have an answer to the question, but, where should we point some focused marketing to get some additional artists to submit?
Right.
Yeah, and I think one of the real important factors in there in terms of marketing it is the I don't know if you call it an award or how you define it, but in Napa Valley Life, that the Art Walk was in the top 3 of galleries and art in Napa Valley voted on by the public. And I think something like that is a very marketable statement, quote, something that we should include, because I think that would be a big attraction for artists to know that people are aware of the Art Walk and coming here. And it was voted by the people, not by anyone else.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, moving on. So I don't think there are any actionable items there, but let's move on to the gallery subcommittee. And Jim, you're up here.
Yeah, this will be very quick. So we as a committee, the 3 of us, Rhonda, Cindy, and myself, did visit 2 of the artist studios over the last week and a half. One was Nick Can, and the other was Jose Martinez, and they both have great stuff. And you have the schedule on the page. The one thing I'll point out is that after the Kelly Zoe exhibit, at the end of that line, it says illustrative confections, and that should move down to the next line. That's the title of Nick Khan's exhibit. And he is also the featured art sip and stroll artist. So unless there are any questions, that's it.
Okay, anything? Thank you, Jim. Next, Jim, you also can address the literary subcommittee.
Yeah, we had a literary subcommittee meeting a week ago with Jeff, who is our newest member. We have an author talk and out loud on the schedule, kind of related to it in the gallery. At the end of this month, on Thursday, March 31st, we're going to do a poetry event in the gallery addressing the current exhibit, which is Flowers from Monet's Garden. That'll be 4:30 on March 31st. That'll include Mary Ann Lyon, who's our poet laureate, and the artist Sam Chapman as well. So that should be a fun event. We've arranged with Sam to have a little bit of wine there, so it'll be a festive event if any of you want to come out for it. And I will say, I don't think we're ready to present yet, but Jeff talked about several new ideas that he has for the literary subcommittee in terms of future programming, and we're looking forward to those coming to the fore in the near future. Anything else you want to say, Jeff, and Rhonda's not here, so.
No, I have some homework to do before I present anything, but I'm getting on it.
Okay.
Thank you. Excellent. So, and then next is Performing Arts Subcommittee. Robin.
Well, as most of you know, we had a subcommittee and an advisory team meeting, and Jeffrey's being launched into 2 different subcommittees. So thank you for attending that and offering your opinion. We listened through a lot of music that night, both for Art Sip and Stroll and Music in the Park, and everybody voted on tally sheets. And then I was able to take votes and comments and wrap them up and submit them to Sam and Danielle. I think they are working on scheduling the bands for Music in the Park first to beat the deadline for the guide coming out. And then we'll be finalizing the 8 artists for Art Sip and Stroll.
Thank you. And just a note, I want to tell you guys that Robin is like the most organized, wonderful hostess that we had. We had snacks, we had wine, we had everything, and she was so organized. We had like voting sheets and numbers in front of us, and music that on a fantastic sound system and video. so we just, I mean, we just like went through like, how many, 26 or something, I mean, all these people. And it was, and we were like in and out. It was great, very fun.
Well,
So,
thanks.
thank you,
Everybody
Robin.
brought snacks and a little something to drink, but it also, you know, with the internet, we're able not just to listen to the bands, but also to see their social media presence and kind of the energy they put into marketing themselves. Some that aren't as well organized, maybe submitted with 2 different names. And so it really showed a level of professionalism that we were able to bring in, or it gave us clarity on the level of the professionalism of the band.
Right.
So, or musician entry. So
Yes.
it was good.
Yes, thank you. And we may get a fiddler on the roof. Just saying.
Or the lawn, or
On the lawn. Just,
this guy is going to play on top of the globe. Would that be a problem?
oh, fiddler on top of the world. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so and next, marketing and PR. It just gets better and better. Noelle.
Are we going to cover the other half of Art Sip and Stroll, the art? Well, we will.
Yeah.
And my suggestion also is to put the fiddler on the roof of the community center. But moving on to, not just joking, Sam, it's okay.
Are we insured for that?
Thank you, Sam, for organizing us, for jurying the many, many artists who submitted for Art Sip and Stroll. Robin and Rhonda and I got together in person and juried all the people who had submitted for us, and we came out with a large number, and we are still, even though the art call has finished, we're still looking for a few more, and we're in the process of finishing that up, and we should have a good number of at least 50 artists for Art Sip and Stroll this year, which we're really excited about. And then of course, Robin told you about the other half, the performing arts, and she's doing a magnificent job with that. It's really wonderful, and her enthusiasm is as contagious as anything. For marketing, going back to the Napa Valley Life Best of Napa Valley Awards and the Art Walk winning it, we are going to promote that in the upcoming newsletter for Yountville Arts, and also the Chamber is promoting it on our behalf in their weekly newsletter. So that's going to be very nice. We've completed the gallery poster for Nick Can with the help of Danielle, who has just been magnificent, because I'm sure you can imagine most of our artists are very, very colorful, and we've chosen the color palette for this Art Sip and Stroll poster, which is basically the purpley shade, and it's line drawings, and she was magnificent in putting together a poster flyer for the gallery, which is absolutely exquisite. So we thank you, Sam, for allowing her to help us with that. Also, the Chamber in their weekly newsletter is soliciting wine for Art Sip and Stroll and promoting the event, which is terrific. We are going to soon, we're in discussion to figure out when to launch this, but Art has a seat at the table is the tagline we would like to use for this year. And certainly ongoing, hopefully it's going to really stick. Thanks to an article that Robin had written with the line "Art has a seat at the table," and it seemed like a perfect thing to jump on to use for Yountville, because we have food and we have wine that's very important, but art has really found its place in town, and it now has a seat at the table in promotion. And we had Michael Scher do some beautiful photographs for us, which you will soon see when that comes out, that are a lot of fun promoting Art has a seat at the table. So Robin's article will come out as an independent release from Yountville Arts, and we just need to figure out when the best time is to release that, before the newsletter, after, but certainly I don't want to have them too close together, so we lose either one of them. And then the Chamber will take that same article that was written and photos from us, and they will post that on the Chamber website. So it will be posted as a blog, so that will be living there in that space, which is really nice for people to see and enjoy. And let's see. Also, oh, I want to thank Rhonda, who's not here, and I want to thank Jim, and I also want to thank Robin. Everybody's been stepping up and finding additional PR and marketing opportunities for us. Rhonda put together a beautiful document that went to the Napa Valley Register, covering all our gallery events, so they have material to work with and to write about and to follow. And then Jim has done the same with the Yountville Sun with Larry Fox's Leisure Time. And I think, Robin, you mentioned it as a plug, but it was not a plug. It was an article. So that's really great. I mean, we're just working at full speed and getting everything out there we can. And in addition to that, with the Chamber of Commerce, they have the FAM tours, the Familiarity Media tours that are in town every few months. And we have another one coming up. And they've reached out to me once again. I've asked if we can have art having a seat at the table as part of the FAM tours now, and they are. So whenever there's a FAM tour, we're contacted, and we go out with the media people and we give them a personalized art walk tour. So they're very aware of it. We had very positive results last time. We got a video on KRON, and we got also different articles as a result of the media coming here to town. So we're really excited about that. That will be happening on March 16th. And that's it for now.
A lot of good stuff.
Yes, thank you. Excellent. All right, next up we have the staff informational reports. Is there anything else, Sam?
Did we cover art sip and stroll with the marketing? Perfect. Is that okay? Is there any?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I just wanted to add, our tasting package tickets are live, and we are just at about 100 sold without any paid marketing. I'm also, we have in design some of the advertisements that will be going out in the Napa Valley Marketplace, and then as well as working on the agreement with the Chronicle, who does all of our viral web-based marketing as we lead up closer to the event. And I have one other thing. We have, we're reaching out to all of the artists, trying to work on the last few to accept. So they get an email saying you've been chosen, and they need to let us know they accept. So some of it's harder than others. But we're really excited about that. And then we will be reaching out, as Robin mentioned, to the musicians once we get that formalized. And one other thing, what was I going to say? I had something. What was it? Robin knows. What was it, Robin?
No, I just, before you wrap it, I had a question that I asked Rhonda, and we ended up talking about the wineries and the participation.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Oh, good.
Go ahead. No, you go. I'll remember now.
With the tasting packages, are we doing the same as last year, where people have a specific time that they're tasting wine?
No, we're not doing that ever again. Never,
nightmare,
ever again.
Good.
That was a nightmare. No,
Being my
we're
first
working,
year.
we're doing our plan is to continue with the tasting pavilion style, because the wineries and tasting rooms really enjoyed that method, and it was a little easier for us to manage internally as well. But there will be no, they can get their glass and stroll that site. They can come and go as they please. So no, they'll still be limited, tasting token wise, but no, we're not going to do any of that other rigmarole. That was COVID. But what I was going to say is, because Danielle's handling all of that, like I went into the spreadsheet and I called her. I was like, are you kidding me? So we were already up to 12 wineries as of 2 weeks ago. So, which is fantastic news. And then one other thing that came out of it is we've had a couple of requests from local businesses, obviously in Yountville, who said, well, how else can we participate? Can we do something at our own site as well? So some of them want to pour, but then also do other things. So we've been talking with Whitney at the Chamber. They've done a sidewalk sale type of model in the past. So we're kind of grasping that same model to allow businesses to be more active outside of their business during Art Sip and Stroll, which is really exciting because especially between event sites. I think it really creates a great walkability and interest for people. And so, but most of them, just a big roundabout knowledge, most of them are limited from doing stuff outside because of their use permits. But if we do it as an event, its own special event permit application like they did the sidewalk sale, then the model really works. And I think it just really enhances the event. And when we were first talking about it, I got really nervous because then I was like, oh, well, will they not sign up to pour? But then I went and looked at the spreadsheet and saw how many of them are already saying, yes, we want to be a part of this. So I think it's going to be really fantastic. So we're still in the kind of mid stages of working out the logistics of that with Whitney and Jessica at the chamber.
So Sam, I have a question for you because I still haven't gotten that in yet, and I will. I will be pouring for both BV and Stag's Leap, but you asked for 6 cases of each wine, and if we have so many people or so many, I think that seems like an awful lot of wine.
So I think that was, we take our best case scenario and say, based on past, if we got 10 to 12 wineries for 1,000 people, that was great. Obviously, as we get more, then I can, communicate out that we need less, but we just want people to be prepared. And in all honesty, I mean, I realized last year when we actually contained the tasting rooms and wineries, how many don't even collect a token. So I just want everyone to not run out of wine early too. So as part of the process. So, but yeah, that's a great point. I mean, if we end up with 16, 17 wineries, then I'll just, I can let people know that they most likely won't have to pour all that.
Yeah, because even if you did take all the rest of the wine, that's a lot of storage for that much wine. So,
oh no, I don't necessarily want it, but yeah. So I did the math, like I've done, and you never know where people are going to target, and so I did the math on how many 1 ounce, 2 ounce pours you can get out of a bottle times 1,000 people, 1,000 tastes, which is the maximum any one winery could get. So that's how we kind of landed on that 6 case number to be prepared. But
okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sam, how many tickets or how many tasting packages are allotted? I mean,
1,000.
1,000, and then that's it.
Okay.
Did we sell out?
We will sell out.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're having some internal conversations because we want to make sure that on the day of the event that people aren't disappointed when there is nothing available. So that's something Noelle and Robin and Rhonda and I have been, kind of figuring out is what do we want to cap at for pre-sale versus have on site that day so that we're not getting a ton of people saying, oh, are you kidding me? I can't buy the day of. So we've talked about maybe going up a little bit on going to 1,100 or something.
Yeah.
And if we're working it, should we still buy tickets?
So anyone who's volunteering will get a tasting package.
Okay.
Oh.
So if you're pouring at your table, you'll get a glass to, you all in the industry just do your thing. But any other volunteers that we have, which we'll start recruiting soon, next week, we'll start recruiting volunteers. They get a tasting package for the other half of the day.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice. So, well, that's exciting. And plus, if some of the tasting rooms are open and the packages are sold out, then we could direct them to, whatever tasting rooms are interested in having overflow sort of. So.
Yeah. We've also confirmed, and I don't ask me the names because I don't know, but Danielle's really great at updating the website. So all of our wine partners are up there. All of our, I believe, food trucks that we confirmed are up there. So we've locked in pretty much all of that. And then artists are being asked to upload their materials into our Dropbox file. So she's now working on the website. So as adding all the artists onto the website as well. So
great. Wow, that's great. It's a lot of work. May 21.
May 21st.
Okay. Any additional comments or reports from anybody? No? Okay, well, how about a motion to adjourn? Judy has her hand up.
Do we
I
need
do?
it?
Oh, I didn't mean to.
I'm just kidding. I can't see you.
I motion to adjourn.
There you go. I'll
I second it.
Oh, Jeff beat me. And
I
every-
motion for the gift of time.
for the day for the time.
What a cute little guy there.
Oh, it's Dolly.
Oh,
Hey, Dolly,
He's hungry.
Okay.
Okay.
it's time to go.
Good
Okay,
night.
good meeting.
Vote.
Bye.
Night.
bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Thank you.